faithfully delivering value by interpreting great books from around the world. Hi, this is Sally from Sally Talking Books. Today, we're diving into the secret to a happy life. Everyone's chasing a happy life. So, what's your idea of a happy life? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. In the 18th century, British thinker Robert Owen once said that the goal of all human effort is to achieve happiness. For each of us, happiness might just be the most important thing. But what exactly is happiness? Is it cozy days with enough food and warmth, or high income and status to climb life's peak? Does happiness rely on material things, or is inner peace and fulfillment the true measure? If someone's feeling unhappy, how can they find happiness? Psychologically speaking, we all can find happiness, but it starts with understanding it right, using good methods to build it, and protecting it. French renowned psychologist Christophe André found in years of clinical work that issues like depression or anxiety often stem from a lack of happiness and no clear way to get it. And um, I would say Andre is a doctor at Sainte-Anne Psychiatric Hospital in Paris and a best-selling author of books like Everywhere Personality and Appropriate Self-Esteem. Um, Books like The Seven Emotions We Are Born With and others have all been covered by Sally Talking Books. In today's book, The Secret to a Happy Life, Andre reveals the secrets to achieving happiness. This book has nearly 200,000 words and 8 chapters, offering detailed analysis and practical advice from defining happiness to building a happy life. On Amazon, Andre's readers have given 5-star reviews, saying this book helped them pursue happiness and the philosophical insights were inspiring. Now I'll break down the book's main ideas into 3 parts. First up, what exactly is happiness? Second, why do so many of us feel unhappy? And third, how to build a life full of happiness. Before chasing happiness, we need to understand what it really means. That's the first part we're diving into today. Throughout history, many thinkers have tried to define happiness. For example, most ancient Greek, Roman, and philosophers believed happiness is noble, it's the highest good. Thinkers in the 18th century saw happiness as everyone's right, like French philosopher Rousseau, who said happiness means being true to yourself. Oh. After the 19th century, elite intellectuals became critical of happiness. Folks like Wilde, Nietzsche, and Gide thought it's hard to achieve, and melancholy or deep thought feels more noble. But even though people can't agree on what happiness is, we can sketch it with feelings like satisfaction and joy. Satisfaction sometimes feels like happiness. Think of a baby smiling sweetly after feeding. That fulfilled state is their happiness. But sometimes happiness isn't about satisfying desires, it's about letting go of them. Take Buddhism, for instance. It teaches that simplicity and detachment bring true happiness. And enjoyment comes from satisfying many basic desires. It's that good feeling afterward, like from delicious food, exercise, relaxation, or leisure, letting us fully savor life's beauty. But if you get hooked on chasing pleasures, it can lead to hedonism, which isn't happiness, because repeated sensory thrills just bring fatigue and new letdowns. Joy is another feeling close to happiness, like scoring a long-wanted gift, winning a game, or reuniting with old pals. These spark positive vibes and deep joy. But joy's basically a short-lived gift. After unwrapping it or the party ends, that feeling fades. Happiness, though, comes more from inside, not outside stuff. And it's also more lasting and profound. So, if satisfaction, enjoyment, and joy aren't true happiness, what is it? The author of this book believes complete happiness has 3 dimensions: biological, psychological, and sociological. The biological dimension is about meeting basic needs, like food, shelter, safety, family bonds, and close relationships. The psychological dimension lets you realize yourself, like having basic self-esteem and doing what you want to do. The sociological dimension is caring for others and doing good deeds. It helps your values shine in society. True happiness needs all 3 dimensions. Any kind of imbalance can lead to an unstable life, preventing true happiness. For example, Overemphasizing the biological dimension can lead to indulgence in sensory desires, turning one into a shallow hedonist. Overemphasizing the psychological dimension, constantly pushing self expression and being yourself, often creates narrow individualists, which isn't true happiness either. Overemphasizing the sociological dimension, like holding rigid moral standards, often forces painful choices between stability and ideals. So, is there a standard blueprint for happiness? The author's research shows happiness has no single template, but different styles. First, happiness through action. This mainly comes from satisfaction and belonging in team activities, plus joy from socializing and sharing. Like how many cherish school days, chatting with classmates, or joining vibrant activities? Second, happiness through achievement. It's the contentment after completing missions and reaching goals, like working hard all year, smashing KPIs, gaining wealth and promotions. Achievement happiness comes not just from material gains, but spiritual fulfillment too. For some, simply handling work, chores, and kids' education well brings happiness. Third, happiness through mastery, found in solo activities that focus on inner feelings and flow, whether crafting, listening to music, or sailing alone to feel the ocean's vastness. Fully immersing in beloved activities unlocks profound joy. Fourth, happiness through tranquility. This comes from distancing from the world, a peaceful appreciation after escaping chaos, like those lazy weekends doing nothing. Completely worry-free, that's pure happiness for some. Then ordinary views or music become pure delights. Different personalities often embrace different happiness styles. The author believes when these four happiness types alternate throughout life, we gain intense, profound experiences of true joy. But deliberately choosing any one of these four styles too extremely leads you astray, actually moving away from happiness. Over-relying on action happiness makes people shallow, as if they only exist in groups. Chasing achievement too much turns them overly utilitarian with inflated desires. Over-pursuing flow experiences leads to excessive dependence on feel-good things. This breeds selfishness, while being too detached fosters passivity and laziness, making you unmotivated. The author compares happiness to diet. It needs balanced nutrition in right proportions to be healthy. Many either can't feel happiness or stray off its path, ending up lacking it altogether. Now, in the second part, let's explore why so many people lack happiness. The reasons people lack happiness can be summed up in 2 points. First, a flawed view of happiness. Some are overly anxious about gaining and losing it. Whenever happiness shows a glimmer, their first reaction is to fear it'll vanish soon. To avoid losing it after gaining it, they'd rather avoid happiness. Others even believe a superstition that revealing happiness invites misfortune. Take Ellie's story, for example. Whenever some happiness came her way, Ellie avoided showing joy and never dared admit she was happy. Once, after buying a beautiful new house, a friend asked if living there made her truly happy, but that congratulation made Ellie feel awkward and fearful. She didn't know how to reply, afraid that admitting happiness would make it slip away. Another flawed view is getting used to an unhappy life, feeling more like oneself when miserable. Olga is one such person addicted to unhappiness. Her love life was rocky. After one breakup, though sad, she felt relief, thinking it was for the best, avoiding future heartaches or pain. After breaking up, she lacked happiness. The second reason is being easily overwhelmed by negative emotions. We'll focus on 3: sorrow, anxiety, and pessimism. First, sorrowful people, stuck in low mood, long-term, finding it hard to be happy. Shang Nai is one such sorrow receiver. On the subway, he felt every commuter was as unhappy as him. Seeing beggars on the street breaks his heart. He stays gloomy all day, and this sadness becomes addictive. So people sink into a vicious cycle of low spirits. Even happy events can't cheer them up, drifting further from happiness step by step. Psychological research shows emotional sorrow, like physical pain, shouldn't be overly endured. When the body hurts, you take medicine. Because pain itself is just a warning signal. Enduring it doesn't fix the problem. So when hurting, use painkillers appropriately for relief.
Pain. Similarly, sorrow, like psychological pain, must be stopped when excessive. Otherwise, mental torment leads to unhealthiness.
Now, the second bad emotion, anxiety, also blocks us from happiness.
To anxious people, disaster could strike any time, so they worry constantly, treading on thin ice daily.
In Annette's memory, her parents were never happy or relaxed, their lives full of worries and exhaustion, as if battling just to avoid misfortune. Annette's parents' catchphrase was, "I'm already covered in troubles, barely dodged disaster." Truly anxious souls. By overblowing dangers, they stay mentally tense, unable to feel life's beautiful moments. Take 8-year-old Berenice, for example. On a perfectly sunny weekend, she'd suddenly ask if war would break out, shattering the peaceful moment. A passing plane would make her think of terrifying bombers. In short, anxiety blinds you to life's beauty while piling up worries. The third happiness-blocking emotion is pessimism. Pessimism means expecting the worst. Losing your wallet means it's gone forever. A late date means they're not showing up tonight. The book describes Jerome, stern-faced daily. His favorite phrases, "This won't work. Don't bother. Just give up." Others' optimism, to Jerome, is either naivety or selfishness, while his pessimism feels like careful deliberation. Actually, pessimism is essentially a form of anxiety. When pessimists encounter good outcomes, they think it won't last, that occasional success means nothing. If faced with bad results, they just lament. Life's just this hard. Pessimists are really just calmer, more restrained versions of anxious people. Everyone feels sorrow, anxiety, or pessimism sometimes. That's human nature. But if you're frequently and persistently trapped by negative emotions, you're living in an emotional prison. And then, negative emotions and flawed views of happiness cut us off from joyful living. So how do we achieve a happy life? That's exactly what part 3 will address. Building happiness requires effort in 3 areas. First, develop psychological abilities for happiness, summed up as self-love, independence, and healthy control. Self-love means having good self-esteem. The author Andre wrote a book on self-esteem called Appropriate Self-Esteem. Sally Talking Books covered it. It's about harmonizing with yourself, accepting imperfections while improving, and recognizing your strengths with self-praise. Constant self-denial, saying "I'm not capable," actually shows lack of self-love. We should not only love ourselves, but become our own best friend. When facing difficulties, cheer yourself on like you'd encourage a dear friend. Truly self-loving people get along with both themselves and others. Healthy social relationships create positive synergy for mental well-being. Simple acts like greeting neighbors, chatting with vendors about weather, or laughing over drinks with friends build happiness bit by bit through daily joys. The second ability is independence. Here, independence means psychological resilience, not easily letting others' opinions or life changes ruin your mindset. For example, many parents once focused entirely on family and kids, believing their children's success and being needed meant happiness. But when kids grow up, move out, and need them less, these parents feel less happy and may face anxiety or depression. Actually, true happiness is tied to warm families, fulfilling work, and good relationships, but it ultimately comes from within, from self-acceptance. It's about not being swayed by external gains or losses. If happiness relies too much on social ties, wealth, or achievements, the path easily goes astray. Besides self-love and independence, having moderate control is key to happiness. The third psychological ability, control, means steering your own ship, from daily chores to major life decisions. People with stronger control handle stress better, stay emotionally stable, and thus find happiness easier. Psychology tests show that boosting control, like letting elders or disabled folks plan meals, activities, or outings, raises their happiness. But note, control should be moderate. However, too much actually backfires. Esther couldn't stand her husband's over-the-top shopping habits. He'd spend hours researching prices even for one shirt, then second guess his choice after buying it. So shopping, a small thing, became exhausting in Esther's home, a classic case of excessive control that causes anxiety for everyone. It absolutely doesn't build happiness, it sabotages it. The second effort: change thought patterns that breed negativity, like exaggerating risks, perfectionism, or pessimism. Some always magnify problems, which fuels anxiety. An anxiety-filled life leaves no room for happiness. Say it might rain, risk exaggerators immediately picture a downpour. Then they think the kids will get soaked after school, catch a cold, and need the hospital. But what if they meet a bad doctor who can't cure them? The more they think, the more anxious they get, feeling like the sky's falling. A better way: objectively analyze uncertainties and brainstorm solutions systematically. Like, yes, a storm might come, but you can pack an umbrella for the kids. Kids do catch colds easily, but common colds can be treated with home remedies. Even at hospitals, misdiagnosis rates are low, so there's no need to stress over nothing and live in chaos. Perfectionism is another mindset breeding negativity. And such people find fault in everything, so happiness naturally eludes them. For instance, some demand flawless behavior from partners, or they'll rage and criticize. In such cases, ask them, have they met those harsh standards themselves? If not, they shouldn't impose them on others. Truth is, stopping harsh judgments and releasing perfectionism means freeing yourself. That's how you move toward happiness. Others chase perfection at work, like seeing teammates delay progress, then getting angry and complaining, making everyone avoid them, like porcupines. Then ask yourself, does my idea of 100% perfect equal actual perfection? Is something a failure just because it's not flawless? This means objectively analyzing whether your standards are even right. Lowering perfectionist demands naturally improves your mindset, bringing happiness closer. Beyond risk exaggeration and perfectionism, pessimism is another negativity breeding mindset. To pessimists, life is gray, suffering. True happiness feels unreachable. Pessimists cling to negativity because they see it as wise, believing pessimism is necessary. So first show them pessimistic judgments aren't just unreliable, they often harm outcomes, like assuming defeat before battle. Then remind pessimists to break free from habitual negativity. See the world objectively again, like asking before speaking negatively or acting pessimistically. Is saying or doing this useful? Should I celebrate if my doom prediction comes true? Since I don't want bad outcomes, why not focus energy on creating good ones? Consciously choosing positivity makes happiness far more attainable. Beyond cultivating psychological abilities for happiness and handling negative emotions, building a joyful life, the third area of effort is to cross three chasms that hinder happiness. The first chasm comes from nostalgia for past good times. Listen to Lisa's story. For Lisa, happiness only exists in her childhood memories. Since growing up, happy times vanished, though Lisa's life is actually pretty good. But whenever she sees kids playing in the garden, she thinks how far she is from her own childhood, making her feel sad. This feeling that good times are gone forever blinds people to present happiness, making it hard to feel what's right in front of them. This gets worse after experiencing major losses in life. For example, some can't find joy after a partner's death. Reminiscing about the past brings pain, making happiness seem impossible. Actually, being prone to nostalgia and sadness shows a lack of ability to create new happiness. There's a man who's gloomy after retirement, always thinking work days were happier. But actually, when working, he complained daily about life being tough and wanted to retire early. So instead of being bound by the past, focus on building happiness now. Retired? Enjoy family life? Or pick up new hobbies you never had time for? See kids enjoying their childhood? Join in, savor your own parenting moments. Wallowing in regret is pointless. Actively build happiness today. The second chasm comes from comparing happiness with others. Montesquieu once said, if you only want happiness, it's easy to achieve. But if you want to be happier than others, it's nearly impossible. Because people always think others are happier, and happiness gets weighed down by comparison. Your life was fine until you compared with the rich, then your mindset crumbles. Sometimes this mindset evolves into unhealthy jealousy. For instance, some feel unbalanced just seeing others do better, even if it's family, and their joy vanishes. Or only when seeing others' misfortune do they find balance. To avoid jealousy, first admit it exists. Like if others have a big villa, yes, they live better, then seek constructive ways. Work hard to buy your own, or improve your space within means. These are concrete efforts. To curb intense jealousy, use rational analysis to break it when it starts. Like asking yourself, why am I thinking this? What happened? From now on, how can I avoid jealousy about this? The third chasm comes from the gap between dreams and reality. Happiness requires material or psychological effort, but imagining ideal happiness is easier than actual work. So sometimes people's pursuit of happiness stays superficial. They stop believing it's achievable. For such people, useful advice is don't just fantasize, live diligently, work hard, and happiness will follow. Also, if someone obsesses over ideal happiness, even when doing well, they'll still feel unhappy. Psychologists once conducted an expression experiment. At the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, researchers recorded medalists' expressions during ceremonies. Everyone assumed gold medalists would be happiest, then silver, then bronze. But surprisingly, most bronze winners were visibly happier than silver. Probably because bronze medalists thought, at least I made the podium, I'm lucky, while silver medalists focused on the nearly won gold. That dream-reality gap tinted their joy with unhappiness. That covers our methods for building happiness. To gain happiness, we need self-love, independence, and balanced control. These psychological abilities also require improving negative thought patterns. Compare less with others and the past. This daily brings us closer to happiness. 16th century French thinker Montaigne said, life's sole purpose is to live and enjoy it. Actually, everyone's happiness looks different. Kids have their joy, adults theirs, whether modest or wealthy, all can find contentment. Regardless, everyone deserves happiness. Building it has clear methods. Cherishing life's small joys and staying grateful are key to guarding it. After hearing this book, do you feel more confident about finding happiness? Feel free to discuss in the comments below. That wraps up our exploration of the secret to a happy life. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time. Hi, everyone. Today's book shares insights on happiness. When you hear happiness, what pops into your mind first? A scene? A word? Or maybe a quote, like from German philosopher Feuerbach? Feuerbach once said, "The first duty of life is to make oneself happy." Jinhui Chun, founder of Taiwan's Business Weekly Publishing Group, released a book 2 years ago titled, Only One Thing Matters in Life. Readers, seeing this title might wonder, we all have 24 hours, a third for rest, a third for work, another third for meals, commutes, friends, and fun. With so much daily, how could life have just one thing? Open the book. Page by page, you'll learn that one thing is living your best life, happily. This book sold over 100,000 copies in under 6 months. Readers consistently praised it, showing we all chase happiness alike. Today's book shares how to achieve life's first duty. Its title, The Secret to a Happy Life. The author is French psychologist and best-selling writer Christophe André. Beloved in France, in trendy terms, he's their national therapist. Young André saw happiness as mysterious. As a psychologist, he found it poignant. This doctor met many happiness-challenged patients who saw joy as fragile and unattainable. Later, André met people skilled at feeling and creating happiness. Hearing their stories revealed common blocks to joy. Psychology, like medicine, solves human struggles. As a psychologist, André felt compelled to share methods for building happiness. Hence this book. Happiness takes different shapes for everyone. So how does psychologist André unpack happiness in this 200,000-word work? The author says in the book that, like wisdom and insight, Happiness is also hard to define. A baby just finished breastfeeding, smiling at mom, who'll say, "Look how happy she is." Actually, the mom's expressing her own happiness, not the baby's.
We can't judge if the baby's truly happy. We only see contentment and joy, which are just temporary states.
The author believes this state shouldn't be equated with true happiness. Proust once said, "Happiness rarely builds on the desire for happiness itself." The author argues that seeking happiness through satisfying desires can be a fatal mistake. We often think wealth and comfort mean happiness, but that's just pleasure from satisfied desires, and repeated pleasures aren't happiness. Like how someone successful by worldly standards might still suffer despite wealth and honors. Sometimes discussing the journey toward goals feels happier than the outcome itself. Happiness is an experience, a journey. We pursue happiness precisely because it brings us hope. Writer Ostrovsky said, "Happiness lies in creating new life. It's achievable. It's about having the ability to create happiness." The author shares conditions that can bring us happiness in this book. Happiness comes from within. To achieve it, we must enrich all feelings that bring us closer to it. Think beyond the present moment. The comfort we often feel is our awareness of perception. Only perceptive people can sense happiness. It's an active state of mind. We must learn to dialogue with our inner selves, ask if we're happy now, then build joyful scenarios. To make happiness last, we need to construct happy scenes, like through rituals, preparing gifts for yourself or family on special days. We're filled with anticipation, feeling needed and appreciated. That's happiness welling up. Originally in French, bonheur, happiness, meant smooth sailing, good luck. As times evolved, people realized, beyond fate's gifts, we can build our own happiness. Author André writes, at the end of The Secret to a Happy Life, "Fairy tales always end with they lived happily ever after, because happiness can be gained. Go seek it. Don't just hear the story." May this book help you find your own happiness equation. Christophe André, this book's author, is hugely popular in France. He splits his life between therapy and writing. Besides The Secret to a Happy Life, we've also introduced his other bestsellers, works like The Passions We Are Born With on emotions, Personality Everywhere on character, and Fear of Strangers on social anxiety, all part of our Psychology Insight series. We hope these publications help more people overcome psychological struggles and savor life's happiness.